to Geelong. Joey, obviously Bailey Smith was the target. That he bolsters that midfield and adds talent but depth.
Yeah, 12 months, amazing, isn't it, what it can do? 12 months ago, everyone was questioning whether this Geelong team had a midfield to compete, and we saw how good they were. Now, all of a sudden, you're going to pair Bailey Smith with Max Holmes. I really like the way Tanner Bruin goes about it. Jai Clark, we haven't really seen get an opportunity, a high-end draft pick who'll play in the midfield to still go along with Dangerfield and the experience they do have. So they got their man. He's going to bring that burst of speed and the run and carry. I'm not as big a worry about the ACL. Everyone was trying to use that as a reason why Geelong shouldn't pay overs. We just saw Will Ashcroft come back from an ACL and win a Norm Smith medal. So I expect Bailey Smith to hit the ground running in round one and make a real difference to this midfield half-forward group.
They bring in Isaac Smith and he wins them a Norm Smith medal. They bring in Jeremy Cameron and he established himself, David, as you've said, as the best player in the game. Bring in Patrick Dangerfield and he wins a premiership. They bring in Tyson Stengel. I mean, would you want to back in their recruiting philosophy? Of course you would, and he's 23 and he's shown in a final series in 2021. He tore the game apart, or the finals apart. Yes, he's got some issues there, but you just back in what Geelong does.
23, played 100 games of footy at a high level. And this guy changes games, kicks goals, carries the footy. He's a beautiful mover, prepares himself to an inch of his life. Pick 17, Ralphie. It's a steal.
It's a scandal.
I don't know how they do it, the Cats. I don't know how they do it, but you have to respect the organisation they've built, and this is why they put themselves in these positions to acquire this sort of talent. He'll have an impact immediately, round one next year.
Yeah, and this for me is why clubs want long-term contracts, because we've seen players that are contracted long-term that the clubs hold the power. They're able to get their players away for, clubs have to pay overs to get them, but when got players out of contract, you're basically giving them away. And that is one of the advantages. There are a number of advantages of having long-term contracts for clubs, and that's a big one. And we've seen it in this situation compared to Rioli and Bolton to what Geelong have been able to get Bailey Smith for. It's right. It's a steal.
And, and what do? They planted the seeds in this trade period. They get Bailey Smith and they planted the seeds with Clayton Oliver, who thinks, gee, I'll tell you what, I'd love to play for this club. So in 12 months' time, if Melbourne don't get their house in order, you think that Clayton Oliver will be playing for them in 2026.
So close to beating the Brisbane Lions in that preliminary final. I mean, they were in front with only a couple of minutes left on the clock. Does the addition of Bailey Smith put them right in that calculation again to be right up there, top four contending as you'd expect?
Well, we all think so, don't we? I mean, they've done it without necessarily having a prime midfield. We discussed the midfield different. They use their half forwards and their ball movement to cover the lack of depth in the midfield. Well, maybe now it's another asset that Chris Scott can utilise to defeat the opposition on any given game day. He's a master coach. We know all of that. You just keep throwing more talent on the pile for Chris Scott and look out.
Plus an extra home game for them next year. Is that right, Ralphie?
Yeah,
so
that's right, 10 of their 11,
that's going to help Geelong as well, finish top four probably again.
All right, Ralphie, we're not going to know who's won the trade period for a year or so down the track, but as it sits here and now, you'd have to say Hawthorn are right up there.
Yeah, that's correct. So I've still got picks 33 and a couple of other ones, 71 and 77, but I get in Josh Battle, so for less than $900,000 a year, and they get in Tom Barrass for all of their future picks 1, 2 and 3. Clubs aren't worried about giving future draft picks away because they know that they can now trade 2 years into the future, they can just trade some of those back in. So it allows Sicily to go forward. It allows just wild cards to pop up everywhere. It's just so exciting. And again, if you get these players in, you want someone who's a coaching genius who can maximise their assets. That's Sam Mitchell.
Yeah, well, they were really strong team defence. They were able to deny teams getting the ball inside 50. When it did go inside 50 defensively, they could get scored against. So that is clearly why they addressed this issue. Love Josh Battle. He can intercept mark. He's tough and he can use the ball as well as anyone in the competition off half-back. And Barrass, they get the big body. Does he work alongside Sam Frost or is he replace Sam Frost? That's up for Sam Mitchell to work out.
How many goals could Sicily kick if he played permanent forward?
Yeah, 50 player. I think he could kick 50.
Yeah.
He only seemed like a Bailey Fritsch type player, really. They could kick 50 goals.
Won the game late. He obviously was a junior forward as well, and he won the game late with a bung shoulder. And so, yeah, I would imagine that he'd train a fair bit there over the summer and could play a bit of wing. He's just such a versatile player.
Is there any other All-Australians in this team, Ralphie? You've already nominated
Josh Weddle, wing, mark it down. Now, I'm a big fan of him. I think he's got massive upside. Do you guys have any queries about his absolute A-grade talent? Because they gave up a lot for him when they got him 2 years ago.
Oh, I still need to see it. He does some things that are so exciting, but I still think he has those Frosty type moments, Ruffy, where he can, before you finish clapping, you got your head in your hands.
Well, Alex Rance did a bit of that earlier as well, and he found a way to maximise his athletic
I'm not
potential.
going to argue
We
with you
like
at this
big
stage.
calls, Ralphie. Good on you.
The other recruit they have is if they can get him right, is Changuth Jiath. And let's face it, he's as athletic as any player in the competition, and we know he's had his injury issues, and so there's a question mark there on him. But if they get a few of these guys up and going,
Mitch Lewis is the other one. That's like it could be like a new recruit. If he can get back to being fully fit, that's another key forward that can work alongside Cole Shadir and Sicily potentially.
Winning premierships is full club. You look at their acquisitions over the last 2 to 3 years. Meek's been an absolute boom for them. These two down back will be sensational.
Carl Amon was a good
Carl Amon, Jack Ginnivan. D'Ambrosio. Just a good club making the right decisions at the right time to put them back in the premiership window.
And the latest news is that they believe that they'll move into the Kennedy Centre in Dingley about halfway through next year. They think they will make that decision. So, of course, 2 elite ovals, everything you'd want for in terms of the bells and whistles. So a good club on and off the field now after some, let's face it, some significant issues over the last few years off the field.